The battlefield of Verkana Ridge still smelled of plasma burns and scorched rock when the smoke finally settled. I stood at the edge of the ruined trench, my rifle humming with residual heat, watching the alien warrior who had saved my life only minutes earlier. Her name was Soraka of the Conir Dominion, a towering figure in obsidian armor marked with glowing carvings of her clan. Her people had arrived on Earth 2 years ago, not as conquerors, but as unwilling allies after an ancient enemy, the Vorith Swarm, resurfaced to devour any star system it touched. We humans weren't prepared. Her people were barely surviving, and together we were losing. I had fought alongside Soraka for 4 months, long enough to understand her silence, her discipline, the fierce focus in her molten gold eyes. But in all that time, she had never spoken to me directly.
Until today.
The Vorith had descended on Verkana Ridge with overwhelming force, spiked creatures with serrated limbs and acidic blood. Our platoon had been overrun within minutes. I'd been thrown to the ground, my visor cracked, my weapon buried in the dirt. One of the creatures lunged. And then, a flash of dark steel. A roar that rattled the ground. Soraka. She cut through the Vorith like a storm of blades, her movements a perfect mixture of strength and grace. Even surrounded, she didn't falter. At one point, she took a hit to the shoulder, acid hissing against her armor. But she didn't slow down. She fought as if her heartbeat was tied to the survival of the universe. When the final creature fell, she turned toward me, breathing heavily, golden eyes glowing behind her battle helmet. For the first time, I stood close enough to see the faint cracks in her armor, the shimmer of leaking energy, the slight tremble in her hand. Soraka, I managed, still catching my breath. That was beyond brave. You saved all of us. She stiffened. Alien warriors don't react like humans. Praise, pride, embarrassment, they all mean something different to her species. But she froze, as if she wasn't prepared for what I had said. A long silence stretched between us before she removed her helmet with a sharp hiss. Her face was angular, striking, like carved stone glowing with faint luminescent markings. She stared at me, searching, as though dissecting the meaning of my compliment. You are incorrect, human, she said quietly. It was not bravery. What was it then? I asked. Her throat tightened. Her voice dropped. Necessity. And then she turned away, as if that closed the subject entirely. But it didn't for me. We regrouped at the outpost near the ridge, where surviving soldiers staggered into makeshift shelters. The wounded were treated in medical pods. Drones carried away those who hadn't made it. Soraka stood alone at the far edge of the courtyard beneath a cracked shield dome, staring toward the horizon where the Vorith hives pulsed like malignant red stars. I approached slowly. You're hurt, I said. A superficial wound. She replied without looking at me. The armor absorbed most of it, but not all of it. Another strange silence. I swallowed, then said the words I hadn't meant to say aloud. You are the bravest fighter on that field. This time, her head snapped toward me so fast I almost stepped back. Her eyes flared, not in anger, but something else. Something deeper. Do not call me brave, she said sharply. I frowned. Why not? Her jaw clenched, then relaxed. Because if you do, I will be compelled to show you why your words are untrue. Show me? Before I could ask, she reached up and touched a small, circular device near the throat of her armor. The plates hissed, shifted, and began to retract in layers like dissolving shadows. It wasn't just armor. It was containment, and what it revealed stole my breath. Underneath the armored shell, Soraka's true body wasn't the obsidian-skinned humanoid figure I expected. She was luminous. Her skin was made of shifting light, not flesh, deep violet energy flowing like starlight beneath a transparent, crystalline surface. Veins of silver pulsed across her limbs. Her eyes burned brighter, no longer dimmed by the visor. But more than her appearance, it was the scars, long, chaotic fractures across her chest and ribs. They weren't wounds. They were cracks in the containment field holding her form together. "Soraka," I whispered. She looked away, her voice low. "Our species was not born like this. We evolved this way after centuries of war with the Vorith. Forced adaptation. Body reforged in radiation storms. We became weapons, not people." She lifted her glowing hand. "We cannot touch other species. We cannot exist outside this armor for long. The energy within us burns everything we contact." She took a shaky breath. "So, do not call me brave, human. I am simply what remains of a dying race." My chest tightened. I understood now. She didn't fear death. She feared living without purpose. "You saved me," I said softly. "Not because you had to, but because you chose to." Her eyes softened. For the first time since I had met her, she looked human. That night, the sky turned red. Vorith spores fell like ash. Our sensors went wild. Command broadcast a single ominous message. "The swarm is moving. Prepare for planetfall." General Harkon gathered us near the outpost center. "We have intel from orbital scans," he said grimly. "The Vorith are preparing to open a world crack directly beneath this region. If they succeed, Earth falls." I swallowed. A world crack. A dimensional fissure large enough for the swarm's hive mother to emerge. Soraka stepped forward. "My energy reserves are depleted," she said. "My armor is failing." Harkon nodded grimly. "We're all running out of time, warrior." Suddenly, Soraka turned to me. "You must come with me." "Me?" I blinked. "Why?" Her luminous scars brightened. "Because you offered me something no one else has." "What?" "Belief. And belief is the only thing that keeps my form stable when my armor is gone." I stared at her. "You need me to keep you alive?" She shook her head. "No. I need you to keep me from losing myself." We set out that night, Soraka, myself, and a squad of 10 soldiers heading toward the convergence point where the world crack was forming. The ground trembled beneath our feet. A thunderous hum vibrated through the mountains. The Vorith hive mother was coming. Soraka moved slower than usual, her armor flickering in and out of solidity. Every few minutes, I saw flashes of her true form beneath the plates. "Soraka," I whispered, "are you sure you can do this?" Her voice wavered slightly. "The question, human, is whether you can." "Me? What do I have to do?" She stopped walking. The others moved ahead, giving us space. "You must anchor me." I frowned. "Anchor you how?" Her luminous eyes softened. "Speak truth to me. Speak belief. Speak what you see in me. If I lose form during the battle, your words will keep me from dissolving." I felt heat rise in my face. "I don't know what you think I see in you." She leaned in, so close her luminous presence warmed my skin through my suit. "I know what you see. You saw it on the ridge. You saw it when I removed my armor. Say it again, human. Say what you believe." I swallowed. "I see someone who refuses to break. Someone who fights even when everyone else thinks there's no hope left. Someone incredible." She inhaled sharply, a sound that echoed like wind across glass. "That is enough," she whispered. And we walked on. The battlefield at the convergence point looked like the end of the world. A colossal rift split the earth, glowing red from the dimension beneath. Vorith creatures crawled out in endless waves, spikes gleaming, claws dripping acid. We fought tooth and claw, plasma and blade. Soldiers fell around us. The rift widened with every passing second. Soraka's armor shattered mid-battle. Her true form exploded outward, pure violet energy pouring from her body like a solar flare. She screamed, not in pain but in release. And for a terrifying moment she started to fade. "Soraka!" I yelled. Her glowing limbs flickered. Parts of her body dissolved into drifting particles of light. "Human," she gasped. "Anchor me." I ran to her, ignoring the rain of Vorith acid. My voice shook, but I shouted over the roar. "You're not a weapon. You're a protector. You choose to fight for life. Your strength comes from who you are, not what you were made to be." Her form brightened, but the world crack roared louder. The Hive Mother began to emerge. A monstrous silhouette rose from the rift, 10 stories tall, dripping with molten red spores. Our soldiers panicked. Soraka turned to me, luminous hands trembling. "Human, this is where I fall." "Not today," I whispered fiercely. "Not while I'm still breathing." Her eyes widened, and then she surged with energy. Together, we charged. She unleashed a brilliant wave of violet light, her full power unleashed without the armor to contain it. The blast struck the Hive Mother, forcing the beast back into the rift. The ground trembled. The air shook. "Now, human," Soraka cried. "Seal the rift." I sprinted to the dimensional stabilizer, our last desperate weapon, slammed the activation key into the core, and triggered the implosion sequence. A vortex of collapsing energy roared as the world crack sealed shut with a blinding burst of white light. Silence fell. When my vision cleared, the rift was gone. The Vorith were gone. The Hive Mother was gone. But so was Soraka. Ending. Emotional, complete, satisfying. I stumbled across the scorched ground, heart hammering. Where she had stood moments before, only drifting particles of violet light remained, fading slowly into the night breeze. "No," I whispered, dropping to my knees. "Soraka, please." But the light continued to fade. Then, a flicker, a shape, a whisper of a voice carried on the wind. "Human, anchor me." My breath caught. The particles swirled together, unstable, flickering, barely holding form. I leaned forward and whispered desperately into the empty air. "You're not alone. You never were. Stay with me. Soraka, stay." The light hesitated, then solidified. Slowly, painfully, her silhouette returned, glowing, fractured, exhausted but alive. She collapsed into my arms, her form dim but stable. "You spoke belief," she murmured faintly. "It saved me." I held her tighter. "No," I whispered. "You saved us." Her golden eyes opened, softer than I had ever seen them. Then we saved each other. For the first time since her people had arrived on Earth, Soraka allowed herself to smile. Not a warrior's smile, not a survivor's, but a person's. And as dawn climbed over the horizon, lighting the battlefield in gold, I knew this was not the end of our war.